Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Questions from the Italian Football Podcast Patreons, where our patrons decide what the show is about by simply sending in your questions via DM on Patreon. For this week, Nima is away, so I'm hosting, and joining me is one of the best young Serie A content creators out there. Her name is Lex. She also goes by Lex FC, and she produces some really great stuff on her channels, as well as for other media outlets, including most recently DAZN. And so, Lex, welcome to the Italian Football Podcast. This is your first time on the show, so we are expecting a Jonathan David-like debut from you today.
Well, hopefully I can make that work. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I always watch your clips and you guys do a fantastic job. So I'm really excited to be here. Yeah,
thank you. No, it's a pleasure, and we're delighted to have you on the show as well. Just quickly before we start, during the summer we've been making these Q&As free for everyone as a little promotion, really. But from next week, from September, these will be available to our patrons only. So to sign up to be a patron and get all of our content, you want to go to patreon.com/TIFP for only $3.99 a month, which even the Serie A teams can afford, except maybe Lazio. Except maybe Lazio, they can't spend any money. Right. And one last thing, we didn't do a Q&A last week because we were doing our preview for the new Serie A season, so we've held over some of the questions for this week for next week. Otherwise, Lex will be here with us all evening. We had so many questions. I think we've got about 25 to get through, so we'll race through them. First question is from Stefan Rossi. He says, "Ciao ragazzi, loving the content. As an Interista, I'm noticing a lot of doom and gloom, which is warranted in some aspects, but then you speak to a Juve fan or a Napoli fan, and they all talk like we are the best in Italy and a well-oiled machine. Which one is it? Is it the fact Serie A is dying and Inter is just a part of that, but being the best of a bad bunch? And is that messing with the Inter fans' heads? Or is it that the Oak Tree family is really adjusting to the Redbird model? Inter made the most money from TV revenue, that's in Italy, and we're still ranked in the top 20 wealthiest clubs in UEFA. So, therefore, how can they not buy someone like Lookman? 2 Champions League finals in 3 years. The fans deserve some cash spent." How do you see it as somebody that's not an Interista?
Well, I think Inter's Mercato was a bit surprising to me, just considering the fact that they didn't make too many adjustments to their squad, and maybe a squad that was a bit of an aging squad. Whether or not that's something to agree with is up to you. I think that they obviously did very well last season, so it's understandable why they would want to keep the core of the players like that. As for Lookman, I think that's maybe just an issue with Atalanta. Maybe has something to do with that infighting sometimes that we see in Serie A between clubs, or clubs reluctant to sell to each other, keep talents within the league. Whether or not that's because foreign clubs can offer a higher price tag, or whether or not it's just because of like some inner conflict in general because you're selling to competition, I'm not sure. But yeah, certainly interesting, because I thought the Lookman deal was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought it would as well. I'd largely agree with that. I would just say that I think the Inter fans are, this question was sent in before the 5-0 against Torino, so maybe they're a little bit more calm now after that result. But I think that the way I look at it is, if you want to look at it positively, they had an aging squad, like you said, but they brought in 3 of potentially the best young players around in Sucic, who looked incredible, I thought, in that Torino game. The way he was winning the ball, so many balls back, and also quite dangerous going the other way. And then Boni, of course, who scored and looked good in pre-season. And then, of course, they didn't sign him, but they've brought in Pio Esposito as well. So, if you look at it that way, that's 3. Juve, we'll see. I don't know much about him. We'll see how he does. But I think that potentially they might even have a good market without, like you said, spending the money that's there. And they might still. When we had Alfredo Pedula, and he said that they will do some more work in the last day, so they might even do some more business. Question 2, Misak Ulikan says, how many signings are the slackers at Juve going to make before the gong hits? Let's say they get Zerkova, Kolo Muani and Vega. This was sent before you went to Villarreal. What would both of your expectations be from Tudor and co if they magically are able to secure that? So just stress again, Renato Vega's now gone to Villarreal. How do you see these last days of the market for Juve?
Well, it's going to be, it's going to come right down to the wire. I think a lot of us were expecting some more movement to happen before this deadline. I think that if we were to get those like two players, Kolo Muani and Zagrova, and theoretically, let's say another center back since Vega's gone, I absolutely would think about a Scudetto push, honestly. So I think that would be the most realistic option. I think Kolo Muani has a heavy price tag now. So we'll have to see if that deal even happens, whether or not he's worth, 60 million, I think that they're asking.
We got a question on that after, and I wanted to ask you that specifically. So we will get to that. But
Scudetto push.
Scudetto push. Yeah, potentially. I think those areas do need strengthening. Left centre back, I think Vega would have been really great to get. I know he played mostly at centre back. I don't know if he's as good at left centre back, but I think that is a weak area. The key thing here, the bottom line is this: Juventus need to sell before they can bring in a Zagrova or strengthen the other areas. Kolo Muani, we'll see because of that price tag. Question 3, Ryan Yaboni. He says, can you guys please shed some light on the situation regarding the Milan Curva Sud? Is this a dark day for Milan and Serie A? And furthermore, another disgraceful blunder from the higher ups in Milan. Should Milan management be applauded for taking a stance against the ultras, or who use their power to stronghold the club and for other activity? Is this the first step towards trying to clean up the stadiums in Italy? I'm torn. And how does this compare to the stance English clubs took against hooligans? And just to add to that, Gianni Riccio asked, do you think Rabiot will be a good signing for Milan? Do you want to answer that?
Sure, I'll answer that last piece. Will Rabiot be a good signing for Milan? Allegri really does love him. So if you sign him, you're going to get your money's worth because he's going to play. Whether or not you want him on the field for all that time is something to be debated. So I think that Milan's got a good thing going with Ricci, Yashari, and Modric in their midfield. I don't know if I would bring in someone else like Rabiot. I think that's just going to take away playing time from guys like Yashari and Ricci, especially with Allegri in charge.
Yeah, I think they are quite well stacked in midfield. The only reason why I think Allegri might want Rabiot, other than the fact that there's this massive romance going on between them, is something that Nicola Schira said the other day, which I found quite interesting and I didn't think about it. And he said that Ricci, Yashari, and even Modric at the age of 39, nearly 40, the role they're most suited to, in Allegri's eyes anyway, is as the regista, as the base of the three-man midfield. So he was talking almost as if it's three players playing for one position. So if that's the case, I can understand why Rabiot's coming in. But at the same time, I'd also think that's a huge blunder by Milan, by Tare and the Milan market. If that's actually the way that Allegri's he only sees playing one of three, and that's shocking. But we'll see. We'll see if that's true or not. And that's what Schira said. And he's he's usually quite good. So yeah. As for, just quickly on the first thing, Nimmer and Patrick Kendrick actually spoke about this on Monday's show at the end, so do listen to it there. My personal opinion, having seen it at Juventus when Agnelli was having problems as well, is that I can see it from the club's side. Usually I side with the fans. On this situation, I can understand why the clubs, because Italy has such a problem with marketing, with not enough fans in the stadiums, with the image it presents, and the ultras, yes, can be a problem. So I understand it, but they need to sort out the situation. We can't have, Milan and Inter playing at home with the fans not even, well, the ultras not even being there or cheering for them. Question 4 from Mohamed Saleh says, I came across a post on Twitter. The Premier League's net spend this transfer market is nearly €1 billion compared to Bundesliga, 126 million, La Liga 28, Serie A 2 million. Do you think this EPL saga will continue to grow and put the other leagues in its shadow? Yeah. Do you think this will continue, basically? Simple word, yes. Unfortunately, it's a monopoly, and I don't see the monopoly being broken. We've spoken about this a lot. I'm sure you probably agree.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to see an end to that happening, or to see Serie A catching up to compete with that anytime soon.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I wish I could lie and say it's going to be different, but I don't see any signs of that. It's actually the Premier League are now at 1.2 billion in the red net spend as we're talking right now, and Serie A is 1 million in the green. So there's a 1.2 billion difference between the Premier League and Serie A. It's scary. William Paganini says, I have a short question for the pod. What is your thoughts on Juve's new signing, Matt O'Reilly? Okay, he hasn't signed yet. Will he work out? How does he fit into Tudor's way of play? Thank you. I don't know how much you've seen of O'Reilly. I haven't seen that much. I do work with some Scots. One of them's a massive Celtic fan, and he absolutely loved him. He said he was phenomenal at Celtic. And when he went to Brighton last year, he got a bad injury straight away and barely played. So I do watch a lot of the Premier League, but because he barely played last season, I haven't really seen much, and I don't watch the Scottish League. But in Scotland, he's seen as an absolutely incredible player. But obviously, it's a big step up.
Yeah, I'm the same. I haven't seen a ton of him either, especially because like I said, usually tend to watch mainly Serie A. So when we get linked to some players abroad, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. But I have heard good things about him, as you mentioned. And with Douglas Luiz on his way out, Miretti is staying, but there could be space to bring him in as well for more depth in the midfield. There's a potential for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Johnny Manja asks, do you think Serie A Italian clubs should be focusing more on Mexico for both player recruitment and marketing? Mexico has the best players in North America. You might disagree with that. And the national team always represents well at the World Cup. At least they make it every time. The country is also a potential fertile market. Take a look at the American Brewers and how they support Liga MX, as well as boxing, which has many Mexican fighters. I also heard that the broadcast streaming rights for Liga MX will be worth more than the MLS. I would also think that the players would be less expensive than recruiting Brazilians, Argentines, or Europeans. Thoughts? As you're in North America, what do you think of that?
Well, I think it's definitely an interesting proposition to make, for sure. I would say I would disagree a little bit. I think that, Canadian national team is showing out a bit right now, and Juve seems to agree because they've got Jonathan David, right? One of our top stars. So I think just in general, tapping into the market over here is a good idea in general from Serie A. I say, like, sure, why not?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say, having been in the industry for too long, is that Mexico is massive they're bigger with La Liga. Like you go, the Spanish speaking fans in general, Barcelona, Real Madrid, the numbers are insane because of the Spanish, a lot of the Spanish speakers out in North America, in Mexico, in even in the United States. And so, yeah, if you can tap into that market, absolutely, that should be something we're looking to do. Stephen Bar One says, if you guys were Gattuso, what would your starting 11 and formation be for Italy's first match against Estonia next week? What would be your starting 11 for the match?
Oh, man. Wow.
And formation. Would you go back? Okay, let's ask you first. Would you go back to a back four and play like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, which seems what Gattuso wants to play? Or do you think we should be with a back three, which is kind of like what all our clubs play and a lot of the players?
It's tough because of that reason exactly. And, we always talk about like Bastoni being at his best in a back three as well. And, the influence of like Di Marco, and just like you said, that's the way Inter plays. That's the way a lot of these players play at their club. I personally like a back four. I would like to see the Italian national team try to play a back four, just personal preference. I think I'm a little bit tired of 3-5-2.
Yeah, me too.
The question is always like, who's going to play in that front three, right? Scamacca's back, by the way, and looks great his first match. So that's promising, right? Going forward. So I guess the question would be like, hopefully Orsolini gets called up. Hopefully like just some other guys get into the mix. It would be nice after like Spalletti's era. So I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you on the back four. I've never liked the back three for the Italy national team. Since Spalletti was almost forced to bring it in, I don't think it ever worked. Obviously, it depends on the manager. The manager has to be able to play it. Spalletti was never capable of playing the back three because he barely used it in his career. And, it's probably the same with Gattuso. So if you've got, the manager has to play the formation that he can play.
For sure.
So for that reason, I think he has to go to a back four. As for the starting 11, okay, let me think. I would say Donnarumma, I would still pick him for this game. This isn't necessarily going to be my 11 for the World Cup. Look, we've got to qualify. So, we can't think too far ahead. We need to qualify. So I'm going to pick my 11 based also on form right now. Donnarumma, I'll make an exception. It's a goalkeeper and the season's just started. But the back four, I'd probably stay with Di Lorenzo. I might not pick him at the World Cup, but I'd stay with Di Lorenzo because the Napoli have started okay. Cambiasso, apart from that red card, he looked good in pre-season. I'd probably pick him at left back. Then in the centre, I'd probably play Calafiori just because he started really well with Arsenal in the first two games, even though he's played at left back for them. And I'd probably go Bastoni. That'd be my four. Then in midfield three, I think Barella, yes. Tonali, if he's fit. I don't know if he's fit. I don't know who else. I'd probably go Locatelli because Richie hasn't played.
Mm-hmm.
Rovella, I didn't watch Lazio's game, but they lost. I'd probably go Locatelli because I think he played pretty well the other night. And then up front, I'd probably go Moise Kean in the centre. I'd probably go Politano right wing. I know that Politano's going to get a call up already, so he's going to be there because Gattuso knows him. And then left wing, I don't know. I've heard Chiesa's getting a call up, which is we'll see. I don't know. Saccagni maybe? I mean, we're not picking from much in attack. So
yeah, Saccagni or Solini somewhere in the mix I'd like to see, and otherwise I pretty much agree with your 11.
Have I missed any midfielders? I can't. I think I'm missing a midfielder, but I can't. Richie, Rovella. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I'd probably go. It's Estonia. I mean, surely we beat Estonia, man. Right. Question 8. Paul Olzak says, it sounds like we're going to get Elmas Napoli reunion. I think he would be a good fit for Conte as in a 10. Your thoughts? Do you think that's a good sign-in for Napoli, Elmas?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting. I think their midfield's pretty stacked up already. So that would be my only question. And I personally really like Billy Gilmore. I think he's been great, super underrated at Napoli as well. So I don't know, just question of playing time. They've got so many guys in there.
Yeah, apparently they're also negotiating for Brescianini as well from Atalanta. They actually want to bring in 2 centre midfielders. So yeah, they're really stacked this season.
And then Conte doesn't play new signings right away either, right?
And he doesn't rotate either. He doesn't rotate. We know that from Juventus days. Just everyone exhausted by the end of this. Yeah. I mean, the only way I look at it is the first game of the season. Napoli played De Bruyne. They played 4 centre midfielders. They played De Bruyne, Anguissa, Lobotka, and McTominay. So they played all 4. So if those 4 are always going to start, then you probably only actually got Billy Gilmore on the bench at centre midfielder. So I think that's maybe the thinking behind buying another 1 or 2 centre mids. Question 9, right? Aris, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Aristodimos, sorry for butchering that name. Kazis says, great pod, thank you. You said 2 weeks ago that the reason the Italian teams do not put buyback clauses to their players is that they can't put the income of the sale in their balance sheet until the buyback clause is activated. Does this happen only for Italian teams, or is that an FFP problem in general for every team? As far as I understand it, I'm not 100% sure. As far as I understand it, that's the same for everyone. And it's why not many teams do that abroad, apart from the teams that can afford it, which is basically top Premier League teams and Real Madrid, Barcelona. So that is the reason. To give you context, me and Nima were complaining about, especially I was complaining about Juventus selling all these players who end up doing great, like Huijsen, like Rovella, but we don't put a buyback clause into the deal. And if they had, then they wouldn't live to regret it. But the reason why they don't do it is because if they'd have done that, they wouldn't have been able to put the money onto their accounts until the buyback clause activates. And that's a problem for Italian clubs who always fighting to balance the books. So, yeah. Question 10. Filippo Cacamo says, I heard last week's Q&A I was struck by Carlo's point about Italian clubs preferring foreign players. He linked it to Serie A's on-field struggles, but I think the main reason is resale value. Foreign players can be sold abroad, while Italians often prefer moves within the Serie A, offering less profit. Clubs know that they need a balance of local and foreign talent to perform, but Serie A is also a shop window for foreign clubs. Could this be why young Italian players get fewer opportunities? What do you make of kind of like the whole debate on Italian players not getting the chances, youngsters?
It's tough. I think it's a balance between both kind of an old mentality of not wanting youth or young players to play, right? And having to go through the stages of like, hey, you start at Serie B, move your way up type of thing. I think that's still a prevalent issue. And then there's also the debate about, is the talent there? Like, is it good enough? Are the development systems good enough in Italy for young talents, right? So I think it's literally a mixture of both. I think Cesc Fabregas came out the other day. I'm not sure if you saw that, with some strong statements about his desire to pick young Italian talents and play them. However, when he measures them up against a Spanish talent, he's like, I just cannot justify taking the Italian talent over the Spanish talent, as if suggesting that the level is very different, right?
Yeah, Nima actually sent me a WhatsApp message about an hour ago saying, put this on the show for Monday. We need to talk about this. And so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because it was a very honest, but also worrying statement, I thought. Yeah, it's a problem. It is a problem. Just what I've never understood, as I've said 1,000 times on this pod, is how Italy can do so well in like the under 17 Euros, the under 19 Euros, but those players don't seem to develop from there. And I think that's where the problem is. I don't think Italy has a problem in producing players up until that age. It's something goes wrong between 17, 18 and 21. Because Fabregas is trying to will be looking for players that are probably, 20, 21 onwards, rather than 16, 17. And I think that something's wrong in the system there, which we need to, I don't know have the solution, but something is going wrong there. Jack Hacken says, hello Nima, who's not here, and Darth Cacaclus, the evil enemy of Calcio Grandmaster Max Allegri. Okay, these are the nicknames that I get for being an Allegri hater, apparently. What is your favourite funny or embarrassing media moment of any Italian coach, player, director, or president? Mine is Gattuso not liking coconut water and having this war with a Croatian reporter where he goes from English to Italian to German. Graziano Pelle versus Jan Just van Gangela is a close second. And in other news, I bet that while Carlo was watching Star Wars, he was rooting for the Emperor and Darth Vader. Right, okay. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, to be honest, but I do sometimes root for the baddies, the pets. Right, what's your favorite media moment, crazy media moment involving an
There's
Italian?
so many. There's Mourinho, there is Gattuso has more. I think my favorite was a bit unintentional by Chiellini, was when he said it is the history of the Tottenham. That's like one of my favorites. And he's so wholesome. Like, it was totally unintentional, but it just came across in the best way possible. So that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was brilliant. What was so funny is that it was Chiellini's birthday the day after Tottenham blew that 2-0 in the Super Cup final, which was so like everybody was posting the video of that video. Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's so many. I mean, going further back, Trapattoni versus when he was at Bayern Munich versus Thomas Strunz, and the German media and the way that he was pronouncing Strunz, which means, if you say it in Italian, it means it's a rude word. And Gattuso, the sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, is brilliant as well. My favorite ever is not an Italian one. Is Tuca Ferretti, who's a Mexican. I don't know if you've ever seen this. So that he's the head coach, or was the head coach of Tigres in 2016. And at the end of the game, his team, I'm not sure if they lost, but he'd been sent off. He was in a bad mood. He's this veteran character, a larger than life kind of character. And at the end of the game, he was in doing the interviews, press conference interviews, and he has a policy of always asking women to ask the first question. So he says, women first, ladies first, he said. And then some man tried to answer the question. And he went absolutely ballistic. He goes, in your house, you make the rules. In my house, I make the rules. Like two reglas, tua casa, tus reglas, mi casa, mis reglas, or something like that. And then the man tried to answer him back, and then he went absolutely berserk. It's the best outburst I've ever seen. You have just YouTube or Google it. Tuca Ferretti. 2016, and then he stormed out. And he says, "I'm not coming back until that bitch goes." Brilliant. But yeah, the Italians as well. Lots and lots of ones as well. Right. Question 12. Vito Campanelli says, with the high press system that Juve wants to use at Inter, De Vrij and Acerbi are a disaster waiting to happen. A centre-back should be at the top of Inter's priority, especially over Lookman. What do you think? Also, curious question, what's the percentage of club fans from Serie A that you think your subscribers support? I'm thinking it's something like 40% Inter fans, 25% Juve fans, 20% Milan, and 15% others. What do you think? There's no actual way of us actually looking at those figures, but I would say that's probably about accurate because Nim has brought all his Inter fans with him to this part. So I would say that's probably accurate. As for the do you see there could be a potential problem for Inter, like because they're playing a higher line with a slow defense?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've actually seen a lot of chat about this recently, especially post game. A lot of clips of the high press and just like how significant it was that they were pressing. I think because they do have an aging squad, like I mentioned earlier. So I think it might, be a bit of a cause for concern, especially in the back. So like I said, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think on paper, yes. But then, of course, we'll see on the pitch how he works his way around that and whether they maybe start to, go a little bit deeper. They've got a lot of senior players there. And sometimes that can be a problem with a young coach as well. Like just having someone like a Acerbi, for example, saying, well, I can't play up here. And then does that cause issues down the line? We'll see. I mean, they started well, but it was it wasn't against one of the top teams. So I guess there'll be, tougher tests ahead for them. Sergio Siccoli says, I'm with my father who loves old classic Italian music. And I remember you said there were some Italian singers now producing great music. What are the groups, artists you recommend? I mean, we'll save that for next week. Nima can ask that because I know he's the man on that. Unless you have any, do you like any like modern Italian music?
I do a little bit.
Okay, go on then. Give us who you got.
Oh man. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I can think of like any specific artists. Like maybe like I don't know, like there's Italian like rap, hip hop, more. It's like Marrakesh, that's good. Like Sfera e Basta. It's kind of like basic, but yeah, if you're into that type of music, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I've actually heard of Marrakesh actually, so that's something. Right, Jonas asks. I'm just noting down the timestamp here. Right. So Marrakesh asks, as it currently stands, what are your guys' hottest take for the upcoming season? Mine is that Kamikaze Juric will get Atalanta relegated unless they dump his ass as soon as possible. P.S. Carlo, please don't say anything positive about Roma. I really don't think my arteries can handle the blood pressure eruption caused by yet another one of your jinxes. Go jinx Lazio for a change. Now, Jonas has it in his head for some reason that I jinxed Roma because I said last season that I think that I thought that they had when Ranieri took charge. I actually said it at the start. I said I think Roma have got a big chance of winning the Europa League, and then of course Hummel's got that sending off and they got knocked out. And he's blamed me ever since. And every single message he sends in, apparently I'm a jinx. So yeah, I'll keep away from Roma. What's your hot take for this season?
Oh, hot take. I mean, my hot take that I put out already was that Jonathan David can win Capocannoniere. So that's my hot take. I really hope it comes true. And another one maybe would be like everyone's chatting about it, but like Como pushing for Europe. But that's kind of been in the windmill recently.
Well, my hot take, I'm going to go one further. Okay. I've already said that I think Como Europe. I predicted 6th in our Serie A preview. Having seen them in the opening week of the season against Lazio, I'm going to go further. I'm going to say hot take, Como in Champions League qualification. That's my hot take.
That would be something.
I don't really think that's going to happen, but let's just go for it. Let's just go for it because I think I really like Fabregas and I think that they're really building something there. Right, Stefan says, how has Beppe Marotta and Ausilio allowed the Inter central defence to get so old without rejuvenating it? Why did they renew both De Vrij and Acerbi? I'm confused how you guys call them some of the best directors in the game and how they allow this to go on for 3 Mercato sessions. Kind regards, Stefan Stein. I mean, we kind of answered that already. But I mean, listen, if you look at the numbers, okay, last season, not so good. I mean, Inter's defence has been the best in Italy for a number of years. And I definitely, I mean, you can question Ausilio, you definitely can't question Beppe Marotta. You can say whatever you want about him. He's the best director in Italy of the last 15 years, and he's still the best right now. So, you know, what he's working with.
Yeah, I would say it's also par for the course for him. Like we saw it happen at Juve. Like if you want to maybe give a tiny bit of a, you know, one of his weaknesses would be that he does stay loyal to his players and maybe older players. And then what kind of happened like at Juve, you kind of get like stuck almost after with those aged out players, and then they're harder to offload and stuff. So it's kind of like something that's to be expected. I'm not necessarily surprised that that's the case at Inter.
Yeah, for sure. And if you sign free transfers, it's obviously going to be harder to sell them on as well. Yeah, exactly. Or make profit. Right. David Backlack says, I was wondering what that website that Carlo has mentioned in the past to watch classic football matches. And for the Q&A, I was wondering if you could recommend 5 must-watch classic football matches and why. Okay, so the website is footballia.eu. So that is football, IA after it, .eu. It's the best football website ever for watching old matches. It's got a database of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of old matches. And if you want to watch old matches, I can't recommend it enough. It's absolutely brilliant. It has a lot of original commentary on there as well, so you learn a lot as well. It's brilliant. So, okay, I'll pick 5, and you can tell me, Lex, at the end if there's any kind of classic matches that you really love as well. But my 5 favorite football matches of all time, Italy Serie A related, let's say. I'm going to go for international matches because that's my love. Number 5, I'm going to go Italy versus West Germany, 1970 World Cup semi-final. It's known as the game of the century, 4-3 after extra time. Just an incredible game. Match 4, France versus Portugal, Euro 1984 semi-final, 3-2 win. Michel Platini, of course, Juventus legend, scored a last kick of the game in extra time to win and send France to the final. Insane game, insane comeback from France from 2 goals down. 3rd, I'm going to go Italy versus Germany, 2006 World Cup semi-final. I was at that game and it was just unreal. It was just the ending, the most just dramatic ending you'll ever get. Number 2, I'm going to go for Brazil versus France, 1986 World Cup quarter-final. It was a game between 2 aging teams of legends. The great Brazil 1982 team, but their players were all kind of in their early 30s. France, the 1984 winners, all in their kind of early 30s. Players like Platini and Gires and Tigana, and it was just a magical game in the hot Mexican sun, and it went to penalty shootouts. It had everything. It was just like, from a purist point of view, it was an amazing game. And then first is, for me, the greatest game of all time is Italy versus Brazil, 1982 World Cup, 3-2 to Italy. Paolo Rossi hat-trick. Italy went into that game against the hot favourites to win the tournament. Just probably the best, maybe the best team never to have won the World Cup, that Brazil team. And Italy shocked them. They stunned them, and Paolo Rossi scored a hat-trick. This game had everything. It was an amazing game. So those are the 5 which, if you've never watched, you have to watch those games.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you were at Italy, Germany
I
in
know.
2006. That's crazy.
I know. I was, you know what? I always tell this story. I was in the stand behind where Grosso scored the winner, and I was diagonally, like where he was shooting from, I was diagonally like arrowed towards it. And as soon as he hit it, I had German fans all surrounding me. As soon as he hit it, I knew it was a goal, because, you know, like, you can see the angle, you can see the trajectory. So as soon as he hit it, I knew it was a goal, and I jumped up like before it even hit the back of the net. So I knew it was a goal, and there was all these Germans around me, and it was It was so like emotional. Like the if you were there, like you felt the energy of the stadium. Like I've never seen so many grown like people cry, like women and men and kids. And I was a little bit sad in a way as well, but it was amazing. They played it. You never walk alone. Played at the end of the game, which was already quite a tear-jerking song. And it was very emotional, but amazing game. What's your favorite game ever? Though just any like which game if you'd watch it over and over again? Maybe Juventus game or.
Oh man, I think like the Juve Barcelona game with the Dybala.
Your boy Dybala,
the Dybala one. That would probably be my favorite. One of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a special game. Yeah, right. Question 17 from Dylan Motta. He says, when inducted, the Baseball Hall of Fame must determine which team's hat jersey a player will have displayed on his plaque. This is based on which team they had the greatest impact on or who they are most remembered playing for. If there was a Calcio Hall of Fame, which jersey would you put on these following players? Right, I'll read through them and you can tell me which club you'd put for them. So, this is a tough one. Andrea Pirlo.
Oh man. I'm going to be so biased. I'm going to say Juve.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'd have to say Milan for Pirlo. Alessandro Nesta. This is a tough one, actually.
I don't know.
It's really tough, actually.
What do you think?
I don't know. I think you could say both because he's well, when you think of who is the most iconic Lazio player of all time, I think of Nesta straight away. But then, Nesta at Milan was there for like 10 years and he's still involved with them now. Like I've been to events and he's there.
Mm-hmm.
I've met him and he loves Milan. So it's that's a tough. I'm going to go Lazio because yeah, it's.
Go with Milan. I thought of them.
Milan have got enough, haven't they? They've got enough. Higuain.
Oh, I'm going to upset some Napoli fans. I'm saying Juve. I loved Higuain so much.
Really?
At Juve. I really did. I don't know if it's just part of my era, him and Dybala, like just growing up, right, watching for me. So that's why I'm going to say Juve.
Yeah, I'm going to say Juventus purely because it's a forbidden move to go from Napoli to Juventus. And I know what the Napoli fans will do. It will be like they'll probably like the plaque will get like vandalized if Higuain has Napoli on. So I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go Juventus. This is a tough one as well. Roberto Baggio.
Oh man,
It's tough, isn't it?
yeah. Oh my goodness, it's tough. That one's hard.
Trying to sort out this light, which has gone all dark on me. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, Juventus was probably when he was at his greatest. It's where he won the Ballon d'Or. He was there for 5 years. But then he's a legend at Bologna. He's a legend at Brescia as well. So, yeah. And Fiorentina as well. I mean, it could be any of those clubs, really.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Brescia because Juventus are going to have others. I'll go Brescia.
Yeah.
Carlo Ancelotti, the player. This is a bit before your time, but I'm gonna go Roma because that was where he's a Roman son. But if you're talking about manager, then I think we'll go Milan for manager.
Yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic, final one.
Oh gosh, that's another tough one. That's a really tough one.
Well, he's the ultimate mercenary. So, like, how can you pick one? Juventus, Inter Milan. I mean,
I just put himself. Just put a lion.
Just put himself. Yeah, that's exactly the world's biggest ego. Yeah. Picture of his face on the plaque. Yeah. Right. Question 18. Hi Nimmer and Carlo. Can't wait for the Allegri rants as soon as the season gets going. If Serie A ever manages to sell broadcasting rights in MENA, my question to you is the following: who do you expect the first coach to be sacked, and why is it Ivan Juric? Who do you think it's going to be first coach to be sacked?
Oh, such a good question. Oh my gosh. I don't want to be reactionary. I feel like it might be Allegri, but I don't know if that's like too much of a hot take to make. But yeah, Ivan Juric is I think personally maybe the obvious answer,
The
but
obvious one,
yeah, I don't know. I said I don't want to be too reactionary. Maybe I'm influenced from their recent game, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that we asked this question and answered it on our preview last week, and I said I think it will be Juric, but Atalanta generally are quite patient. They were patient with Gasperini when he started badly, so that might save him maybe, unless he loses the dressing room. So it could potentially be one of the relegation ones, which is a bit boring, but it could be like a Di Francesco or someone like that. But yeah, Allegri. I mean, I guess if he starts badly, it could be put under pressure, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Question 19. Jamie Drums says, my question is for Carlo this week, but it's about Juventus, so you can join in as well. Carlo's biggest grievance with Vlahovic seems to be his transfer fee being so big and how he didn't deliver based on that transfer fee. What Juve players from the past that had a huge transfer fee based on the market at that time do you think were worth the transfer fee? Just to clarify, my biggest issue is his salary, not so much his transfer fee. It's his salary, which is stopping. That is what's stopping Juventus from selling him. Is the salary? It's not the actual transfer fee, because the transfer fee after a certain amount of time it gets amortized and you can sell him for less than what you paid for him. But you can't do that with a 12 million or 10 million salary. Huge transfer fee. So I mean, Buffon was the most expensive goalkeeper ever at the time of signing, and I mean, for me, the greatest goalkeeper of all time, and how many years service, nearly 2 decades service. So definitely him. In that same transfer window, Juventus bought Pavel Nedved and not Marcus Thuram, Lilian Thuram, for both. They were both 29 years old at that time, and they both went for I think Nedved was 45 million, Thuram 36 million. That's crazy money. That's like 70, 80, 90 million in today's money. And you could have said at the time, oh wow, that's a bit too much money for players that are about to turn 30 next year. But both of them gave, were world class for years and gave great service. So I'll put them as well. Gianluca Vialli went for a world record fee, 20 million at the time, and he won Juventus their last Champions League. So I would have to include him. And Roberto Baggio as well also went for a world record, and he was my childhood idol, and he was just unbelievable. His 1993 year, that year when Juventus won the UEFA Cup, which at the time was harder to win in the Champions League because it was only the first place team that were in the Champions League at that time, whereas it was like second to fifth in every league would be in the UEFA Cup. And Baggio just absolutely single-handedly destroyed that entire tournament. He was unbelievable. He scored world-class goal after world-class goal. And he won the Ballon d'Or that year. So, yeah, I would say Baggio. Yeah, I would say that maybe Ronaldo. I mean, I know there's an argument to say Ronaldo, it hurt Juventus financially in the years after, and I understand that. But if you look just purely at himself and his numbers, 100 million, a lot of money for a 33-year-old, but they still got over 100 goals for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Juve's track record recently with expensive signings, it's not great. Like, I think Arthur Melo tops it. And then there's like De Ligt and then Ronaldo, or they're all up in there as our like top 5 or something. I think Higuain's in there too. So I would say, like, for me, Higuain and Ronaldo. I think that, like you said, I'd admit that he definitely carried Juve to those final Scudetti. And having him was obviously like great to have him, like a player like that again on the team. And but like I said, otherwise some of those other transfers that we tried to go for weren't so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on, and that we're going to come on to Kolo Muani in a little bit. So Kevin asks, for hypothetically, if they don't buy a new striker, do you think McTominay could play striker for Napoli while Lukaku is out in Conte's system? That's an interesting question, because he actually went up front for like the last 10 minutes or so of the game at the weekend when Luka went off. They actually put McTominay forward. So, yeah, I mean, as an emergency, he probably could, because he's got such a great brain. His footballing IQ is incredible, the runs that he makes. But they're trying to sign Højlund at the moment, which, I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see Conte what you can do. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like you said, certainly if they can make it work. I don't personally rate Luka that much. I think that losing Lukaku will be huge for Napoli, maybe even more than people are realizing. I think he was a massive piece of their campaign last season. Like, almost led the league in assists or was like tied. He was up there. And just everything he did, like hold up play and everything for that Napoli squad. I think that maybe Luka's, it's a bit premature for him. I think they didn't expect him to have to step in this quickly, right? Considering that injury happening, which is why they're going to try and scramble and find solutions. But yeah, McTominay might work.
Yeah, Luka, definitely the jury's still out on him. I'm sitting on the fence on him. Yeah, I'm not ready to say either way. I think he's obviously got some unique attributes there, given he's 6'7" and he technically does have qualities, and he's not slow despite his size.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think he's got a lot to prove, and we'll see what Conte can do with him. I thought he had a mixed debut for Napoli, to be honest with you. I thought his touch was a bit off, and he's back to play game was obviously not what nowhere near what Lukaku's is. But then yeah, we'll see what Conte. What Conte, we know Conte, how he improves players, so we'll see if he can do that with him. But I agree. Lukaku is just the get out clause, isn't it, for Conte? You just play that into him and he'll play the wall. So, yeah. What do you think of Højlund? Are you a fan of Højlund? Do you think he's...
It's tough. I mean, he was okay in Serie A with Gasperini, right? Like I think that for the time he was here, he wasn't one of his like best top strikers ever, right? With Atalanta, but there's potential there. I think that for Højlund, it would be the absolute perfect move for his career to go play for someone like Conte, right? That's like an immediately like fix your career, get your career turned around type of call. So yeah, be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Question 22 is from Marco Guerrero, and he says, some fans say Rabiot disrespected Juventus when he left, but wasn't it more about negotiating a higher salary and him looking for a new challenge? He was solid for Juve, and Juventus has a history of sidelining players when they want them gone. About Vlahovic, I still believe he can be a 20-goal striker if supported by good number 10s, especially since he's scoring in pre-season, and he scored on the first day of the season as well. Most of Kolo Muani's goals came in the first half of his Juventus career. Is spending 60 million euros on Kolo Muani justified? Or is it better to keep Vlahovic as a backup and use the budget for other players like a Zagrova or O'Reilly or a defender? So what you brought this up earlier. What do you think about this? I mean, I actually seen even 70 million potentially, as in 10 million for the loan this summer and then 60 million next summer. What do you think of that price tag? I mean, I liked him. I thought he was great at Juve last season, but is that too much? Is that too much money for Kolo Muani?
I mean, it's such a loaded question, right? Like, it's great. I love how much he loves the club and wants to be here. Like, that's something that's a huge piece. And the striker market is like, it's really, really limited right now, I think, just in general in world football. But I mean, PSG, I think, like, don't they have enough money? Like, why do you want to go charge us this much money for him? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think personally he's not a 70 million striker. I don't think so. I think it would be an overpay, unfortunately. And then you get into like Tudor's tactics. Like, what does he want to play? Like, do you want to play with two up front because you've already signed David, right? So it's like, I think David paired with a runner is ideal. Either David paired with a runner like Kolo Muani for two up front, or do you want to play David with two wingers and then you'd sign someone like Zagrova to give us depth at the wing? So I think that's why Juve's looking into Zagrova and other options to maybe keep more of a solid, like we do, like, right, he plays David up front with like Conceição and Yildiz in behind almost, right, two like inverted wingers a bit. So I think it just depends on all of that, right? Like, I think the price tag's a bit high, honestly. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's high. But like I said, it's a difficult one because if they don't sign Kolo Muani, I still think they need to sign someone else. I mean, obviously, the Vlahovic is complicating this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't sign someone else, are you happy to go with David and Vlahovic for the whole season? Is that enough? I'm not sure 2 attackers is enough. It certainly limits your tactical options. It means you have to go with one up front the whole season.
Exactly.
And then what happens if one of them gets injured? Say then, David's out injured for a couple of months, then what? You only got one player, Dusan Vlahovic, you're stuck with. So I think Juventus need 3 attackers. I'm not saying it should be those 3. Mm-hmm. Ideally, it would be Kolo Muani and David, and then maybe someone sort of like maybe a younger, more up-and-coming option that's okay being the 3rd striker.
Yeah.
But I think they need 3 strikers. So I think that needs to be taken into account. I do think it's a lot of money. I mean, from a financial point of view, I think it's a bad deal. From a financial point of view, purely because he's going to be 27 at the end of this year. If they pay this, let's say the 60 million next summer, he'll be turning 28, sort of like a few months after that. So we're looking at if Juventus were say going to sell him a year later or 2 years later, that the sell-on value, the chances of having a sell-on value are very low. So I think financially, it's not a good deal, but sportingly, I think Juventus probably need him. And if they don't get him, who else is there on his level out there that Juventus can get that's still available now with 4 days left of the market? So
exactly.
And the other thing to consider is Juventus need to get. I think they'll get top 4 this season, but if they were to miss top 4 because they didn't have Kolo Muani, for example, that was the difference. Then it's going to cost them even more money. So it's a tough one. Just before we move on to the next question, I did want to ask you one thing, because you're Canadian, you know Jonathan David probably better than most. What is his best role? Like, is he best as a in a one-man attack, in a two-man attack, as a first striker, a second striker? Because he's quite adaptable, isn't he, in that way?
He's very adaptable. I mean, he's a great playmaker. He's just smart. Like, he's honestly such a smart player. He's one of those players who knows where to be to score. And then he's also great, like I said, with his vision and at playmaking. So you can really move him around. But I would say that one thing is that he will not be the one running in behind defensive lines, like onto the ball. So he's more of like, you need to pair someone with him that will do that. Right. So that's why they spoke a lot about pairing him with a runner, like someone like Kolo Muani. So I think they would actually work really well together. It'd be interesting to see. It would give us options in the attack, which would be great. So yeah.
No, that makes sense. I find the Zigrova interest quite interesting as well, because he's a winger. Do they plan to have the option of using wingers as well, rather than inverted wingers that they do? I don't know. Maybe they want to have that option on the table. So yeah, a lot of work for Juventus to do in the last days. I mean, Savona's in negotiations with Nottingham Forest at the moment, so he could leave. If he leaves, then I think another defender will have to come in as well. It could be a right wing back could come in, a centre midfielder, an attacker. So Juventus and Milan, I think, are the 2 teams to watch in these last days of the market. Okay. CJ Barille asks, what is your prediction on how the Italian teams will do it in the Champions League this season? And who do you think will win the tournament overall? Just to give a reminder to everyone, since last season, the tournament's changed. It's a 36-team group. Each team plays 2 teams from each of the pots from the draw. So 8 in total, 1 fixture each. 24 teams go through, 8 get knocked out. Top 8 go straight to the last 16. 9 to 24 go to the last 32. 9 to 16th place, a seeded. 17th to 24th, unseeded. Hope that makes all sense. Right, so let's go through them one by one. Let's start with Napoli. Where do you see them finishing? How do you see them doing Champions League?
Oh man, I think Conte is the big wild card in this picture, right? So they have added a lot of depth, and they do have, someone who's very accustomed to the Champions League, like Kevin De Bruyne, on their side. So I don't know, let's say I would say at least around a 16 into quarterfinals.
That's exactly what I've got. I think that the big question is always Conte in Europe, because he's got such a terrible record in the Champions League. But as Nim has been saying, I think he's getting really annoyed now at people bringing up that record, and I think he's got a point to prove this season. So I think he really wants it. He can't, like, he'll just go crazy if they go out again in the groups or early. So I think that there's that. Plus, I look at their business, and I think they really have done a great job on their squad. They've really given themselves a deep squad. Like, if they'd have gone into this season with the squad they had last season, I think they would have gone out in the group stage and even flopped in the league. Now they've got the group. So as long as Conte learns, big if, as long as he learns how to rotate and not just play the same starting 11 every week, then I think that last 16 or quarterfinals for me as well. Inter, of course, last season's finalists. How do you see them doing this season?
Jeez, another wild card. Like, kept the same squad, but lost their coach, new manager. I mean, I'd say recency bias because they had such a strong opening match. Makes it difficult. I'm trying not to let that cloud, my judgment. I think they definitely make it out of the group stage too. I'm gonna say like round of 16.
Yeah, I've got last 16 or quarterfinals for Inter as well. I think that they've got so much experience in that team, and you've got 2 finals in 3 years, even if the team is aging, and even if there's clearly, like, as with all the 10 teams, there's better teams out there in other leagues than there. We just have to accept that. There's stronger teams, the top Premier League teams. But, Inter have shown what they can do. So I think that experience in Europe is so important, and I think that will still take them to a certain, and then if the younger players, like we said before, like Sucic and Boni and Pio Esposito can, emerge immediately, then who knows? But I would say last 16 or quarterfinals. Atalanta, this is the easiest one for me to predict. I almost said what I was going to say. How do you think they're going to do, Atalanta?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like you said, probably
group stage.
Group stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there is a possibility there, but I caveat that with, let's see what they do in the market in these last few days. They have to do something in that market, because I don't like their transfer business. I think they've downgraded their team. I don't see any of their signings improving their starting 11 at all. Yeah. Plus, we need to see what happens with Lookman. We've got a question on that. Our last question is on that. I'm going to say groups or maybe last 32, but I don't see them going anywhere past the first knockout round. And finally, Juventus. What do you think of Juventus?
Oh, man. I've got like PTSD from Champions League with Juve over the years. I'm going to say at least, I want to say round of 16. Right? Like maybe, maybe I'm being, I don't know.
No, I think that's what I've got down. I've got round of 16. I don't see Juventus getting past the round of 16. But then, of course, it always depends on the draw. Like, who Juventus get. I mean, last season. But then, having said that, though, last season the Italian clubs got some great draws. I mean, Juventus got the first time in years, because we always complain that the Italian teams get bad draws. The first time in years we were happy with the draw. Juventus got PSV, Milan got Feyenoord, Atalanta got Club Brugge. We were thinking we're all going to go through. And they all went out, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was just Inter that went through, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's the draw. Sometimes, you just don't know. But I think also with Juventus, I think a lot will depend on the business between now and Monday.
Yes.
As to how well, because the problem I see with Juventus right now is this. I think the first 11 is good. I think Juventus have a strong first 11, but I think the gap between the first 11 and the replacements is massive. It's just not, the players that come in are just not good enough. They're not. Yeah. Look at the wing backs. Kostic comes in for Cambiasso. Right wing back, I don't even know who we even got one. Oh, Juventus even got a backup right wing back.
They're gonna put me in.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. Centre mids. I mean, you go from Thuram and Locatelli to, Koopmeiners is, if he can rehabilitate himself, okay, that's okay, but we'll have to see if he can do that. Then otherwise you've got McKennie, who might leave, or you've got Miretti, who's still coming back and improving himself at Champions League level. Yeah, that's probably not on the level of the top clubs. And then in defence, I think already there's a weakness at left centre back. And then you look at the players who are coming in, Rugani and Savona. who might leave. So yeah, I think that, and that's before you get to the attack. So which we already discussed about. So I think it's you need a squad. You need a bigger squad, and also Juventus need to sort out their injury situation. If Juventus get as many injuries this season as they got last season, then it's going to be very tough, I think, to go deep in the Champions League. All right, final question on this: who do you think is going to be the overall winner? Who do you think is going to win the Champions League this season?
I think I said my prediction was Barcelona this year. So
yeah, I'd probably go with that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's PSG, Barcelona, or Liverpool, with a maybe a dark horse being maybe an Arsenal, or maybe even a Chelsea as a very, very dark horse. I don't see anyone else other than that. I don't think Real Madrid this year. I don't think Bayern, and then sadly, I don't think the Italian clubs either. Unfortunately. Okay, last question, and then we'll finish. Then we'll finish off with a game. So Vitor Campanelli says, "Hi guys, what does Atalanta benefit from having Lookman stay? They are forcing a player to stay at their team who doesn't want to be there, and with Gasperini gone, isn't there a huge risk for Lookman's value to plummet?" What do you think?
It's tough, honestly. That whole saga. I've seen a lot of criticism about, towards Lookman for doing what he did, refusing to go to training, etc. However, I think that if a club wants a player out, they do the same thing to them. All of a sudden, you have to train with the youth team. You have to train by yourself. We want you gone. So I think the fact that, it's going the other way now against the club, I mean, I don't think that, you can complain that much, because I think, like I said, sometimes it happens the other way as well. I think that keeping him would just be a really weird situation overall. I mean, he'd have to be reintegrated into the squad. And I think Atalanta were worried in general about just losing their most valuable asset, right? Like, that's their most valuable asset. That's how their club works. Like, they sell and resell these players at a much higher value than what they brought them in for. That's how their entire club is run. So if he's the, number one piece of that, then they want their money for their player, which is, I think, a big part of why those negotiations happened the way they did.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. And then you're the first person to actually bring that up, about when a club wants a player out, they let them train on their own or with the youth team, or in England they call it the bomb squad. They give them their own dressing room, and they're not even part of it. I mean, I think I see that from a different point of view. I mean, I'm not sure he went about it in the best way, but obviously we don't always know what went on behind the scenes and what was said. It's just impossible for us to know from here. But what I would say is that, him staying, it's a difficult one though, because he's been frozen out till the end of the market, till September the 2nd. Then we'll see if he's been sold, or then I'm sure that if he stays, they'll try and reintegrate him. But at this stage, August the 27th, who are they going to get in to replace him if they do sell him? It's going to be a massive downgrade. So in some ways, you might think it's actually might even be better off keeping him and just hoping that he wants to start playing again. I don't know. It's a total mess. It's a total mess. Okay, right. That's all the questions. To finish off, though, we're going to play a game. This was suggested by Alfredo, because I said to him, right, you're younger than me. Come up with a game that Lex will like. And so he says, you've got to play a Dybala game with her. So we're going to play Paulo Dybala. Before we play the game, can you just tell everyone just how much you love Paulo Dybala? So we get the context here.
Yes, well, I go by Dybala, so that should tell you all that you need to know. But no, I absolutely love Dybala. My personal favorite player, like I said, having to do with just growing up, watching him, playing for my club, playing my style of play, honestly. It's my favorite type of player, number 10, like exactly how he plays, like everything, left-footed, like He's perfect.
Are you a player? Because I've seen you've put out some videos of you playing. So are you a footballer? Do you play football a lot?
Yeah, I am. I'm coming back from an injury right now, actually.
Oh,
But yeah, I've played at the varsity level over here in North America, and I played at the semi-pro level as well.
oh wow,
Yeah, I played as an
amazing.
attacking mid.
So same position as Dybala then. Well, sort of, I guess. What are you left-footed then as well?
No, I wish I was though. I think
I saw you hitting some good left foot shots on your Insta. So you've got a good left, you've got a strong left foot as well, both footed.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
helped too, having injured my right knee, so then I had to work on my
So
left.
have you ever scored a corner with your left foot though?
Oh no, I can't say I have. I do take
Okay.
corners with my left foot though.
Oh, you
but
can.
I haven't
Okay. Well,
scored
see,
much. I can't take
during my career, people laugh when I say my career. So I played semi-pro as well. I scored two twice from a corner with my left foot, and I'm a right footed. I used to take corners because I was both footed as well. So
amazing. That's awesome.
So that's it always, like when I see players that are only like one footed, I think, why can't you use your other foot? Because then it could just, when you can use both feet, anyway, for Paulo Dybala, it didn't matter that he couldn't use his right foot. So what the game we're going to play is Dybala versus GOAT game. It's a terrible name for a game, right? But basically what I'll do is I'll run down a list of Juventus and world stars, and you simply say who you are having in your team out of Dybala and the other guy. Okay, so you will start off at a certain level, and then the players are gonna get better and better as we go along, and it's gonna be tougher and tougher for you to resist not saying Dybala. We'll see how far you go. Right. Okay. So first one, Dybala or Giovinco?
Dybala.
Dybala or Quagliarella?
Oh, Dybala.
Dybala or Morata?
Dybala.
Dybala or Higuain?
I love them both, but Dybala.
Dybala or Tevez?
Another player I love, Dybala.
Dybala or Mandzukic?
Dybala.
Dybala or Chiesa?
Dybala.
Dybala or Vlahovic?
Dybala.
Dybala or Kenan Yildiz?
Oh, man. Oh, he's like the future Dybala.
Dybala, yeah. I was going to say recency bias. Okay, now we get into the really tough ones. Dybala or Trezeguet?
Dybala.
Just about there, just about. Dybala or Papu Gomez?
Oh my gosh. Dybala.
You love Papu Gomez as well, don't you?
Absolutely love him. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him as well. Okay, right. Last two. This is going to be really tough. Dybala or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Dybala.
Oh, answered that one quickly. Mm-hmm. And finally, no, penultimate one. Sorry, Dybala or Lionel Messi?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, Dybala is my personal Messi. Like whenever people ask me Messi or Ronaldo, my answer is Dybala. So I'm going with Dybala.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay, and finally, and this is going to be really hard for you, I know. Dybala or Alessandro Del Piero?
Oh my goodness. That's like almost an impossible choice. I think I'm going to say Dybala for me personally again, just because, like I said, my era and everything, just my absolute favorite. But obviously Del Piero is like...
Clean sweep for Dybala. Dybala is unbeatable. We can't find anyone.
Made it all the way through.
Yeah, Dybala wins. Okay, so yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on to the Italian Football Podcast. It was amazing having you on. Before we let you go, if you can just tell everyone like where they can follow you, your social media, and anything that you've got coming up, or any of your work, or anything that you want to share with everyone. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. It's great to be on your show. And you can find me at dbalexa. That's my handle on X. I'm on X frequently. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok doing short form content about everything Italian football related, right? Serie A, Serie B, and Juve predominantly.
Yeah, Juve are your team, as you can see from the shirt there.
Yeah.
Which shirt is that? Actually, that's a bit of a classic. That's a bit of a retro one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, Addiston. Wow.
yeah, it's one of the Juve remakes. Like, you know how they actually have remakes that they're selling of older kits? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's so Ariston was late 80s, I think. With when I see that shirt, I think of Ian Rush. Is long before your time, but he was a player who was like the best scorer in Europe, like for Liverpool. He was like used to score 40 goals a season. Juventus signed him, and he was a bit of a flop, really. But that was back when the Serie A was the best league in the world. It was hard for strikers back then. And Addiston was I always think of him. Yeah, that's a beauty. It's a beauty.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thank you everyone for listening. We will be back on Monday for a review of match day 2 of Serie A, and then a look ahead to the international break where Italy play against Estonia in the World Cup qualifiers in Gennaro Gattuso's first match in charge. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening and for watching. Thank you, Lex, once again. We'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.